Welcome everybody. It's Phil here in Brazil once more, and we're gonna talk Star Trek Discovery, episode 3 of season 2, Point of Light. I've decided not to do a live broadcast this time, even though I'm actually on at a reasonable hour, 2:46, so there might be people still talking about the episode in the groups. But guess what? I wanted images on my little podcast, whatever you want to call this. And I've always just been covering up the screen because it's so late when I get these up, man. And I don't want to show my ugly mug at 4 o'clock in the morning. I do some live broadcasts where I show my face. There's some videos that I post on my YouTube page where you can see my beautiful face. I'm singing some songs and whatnot. So I got nothing against showing my ugly mug every once in a while, but not at 4 o'clock in the morning. But it's nice to have some images too, right? Not just looking at this blank space of whatever. So here we are. We're gonna try this and see if it works. It's my first time trying to set everything up like this. So episode 3, let's get to it. Point of Light. Well, this is kind of a watershed episode for me, because as much as I have been a fan of the series, and I really have, I mean, despite some things that irritate me about it, I have enjoyed Star Trek Discovery. But this episode, oh my god, somebody forgot to hide the magic mushrooms from the spore drive, and everybody went nuts. This was an insane episode. It was all over the place. The pacing was bad, the editing was bad, the acting was, I guess, alright, but there wasn't much to act about, to act on, I should say. The dialogue was terrible, and it was actually the first episode of Star Trek Discovery, which I fell asleep watching, which is strange considering the fact that usually I watch these like at 4 in the morning, and I was able to get a hold of a copy by magical mushroom means a little bit earlier. So I watched it around 1 a.m. and yeah, I just dozed off. I was dozing off right in the middle where Tilly is going through her shadow exercise. Oh, by the way, I always forget to say this, so let me try to say it a little bit earlier. Spoilers! Okay, there are going to be spoilers for Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 3, Point of Light. You got yourselves, I don't know, to the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, the count of 1, I should have said, right? To get the hell out of here. But you can come back. I hope you come back. And by the way, thanks for those of you who have listened to the other podcasts. We got, double the viewership or the listenership from the first episode to the second episode, and that's so cool. I love that people are watching and listening, I guess, more than watching to the podcast. And I hope you leave some comments below, and I hope you agree with me, and I also hope you disagree with me. But let's get to it. This episode for me felt like Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars meets The Thing meets a Mexican soap opera, or Brazilian, you could say, right? I'm down here in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and we got a lot of cheesy soap operas too. A lot of family drama going on. Well, we'll get to The Thing at the end. We'll get to the Star Wars as we get through this podcast. Lord of the Rings, because just a lot of pontificating and talking and giving us some lore about this and that, and I was like, what the hell is going on? I'm trying not to say too many bad words. I always say I'm not gonna curse until I do, because we got kids that enjoy Trek, but I don't know how many kids would enjoy this Trek. I don't know, it's a bit loopy at times. Again, this is like my first negative review. Well, yeah, hardcore negative review. There was a couple episodes last season that I wasn't much of a fan of, but this is my first hardcore negative review of a Star Trek episode, Star Trek Discovery, which, it was bound to happen. Even the greatest of, TOS had Spock's brain, and the Apple, if I recall, was kind of crap. Don't remember. I hope I didn't say the wrong. I hope I didn't just say the title of a really classic episode. But they had more than a few duds in the original series, more than a few duds through most of the first and second season of TNG. Voyager had a bunch too, as much as I enjoyed the series towards the end of Threshold, right? So it was bound to happen. The Star Trek Deep Space Nine had that weird trapped inside of a holodeck game episode. I think it was season 1, which was like, what the hell is that? Anyway, so it's bound to happen that there was going to be an episode like this that just totally turned me off. And here it is, yeah. It's the one called Point of Light that I hope I never have to watch again. So basically, this episode tried to get 3 points across. Okay, 3 points across. First is that Spock is nuts and possibly homicidal. Okay, and Amanda was a better mom to Michael than to him, so we got the Spock family drama, which I'm like, oh, it's so distracting. Michael Burnham, she could have been written as an interesting character. She could have been more or less the character she is now without having that Spock connection. I mean, I guess I get it, because, if she was raised on Vulcan, what Vulcan would have taken her in other than the hippie Vulcan, which is Sarek, who's got the Sybok, he raised Sybok, he raised Spock, which is kind of a, not your average Vulcan, married an Earth woman, so I get that he would have to be the way to get Michael to make sense within the Vulcan culture. And I guess what they're trying to do with this series is show how she becomes more human. But I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's distracting when we have just this shadow of Spock, and it distracts away from what Discovery could be, and it's kind of in the shadow of Star Trek the original series at the moment. The second thing it tries to get across, so the first thing, again, we already know Spock is nuts. Now he's possibly homicidal. Okay, whatever. We kind of got that from the trailers where he's doing like some crazy Vulcan martial arts. So whatever. And so we had to deal with like endless dialogue between Amanda and Michael about how she wasn't a good mom. Oh yes, you were. You gave us love. Oh no, I only gave love to you because I had to hide my emotions from Spock, and it's like, come on. We had the second thing I was trying to get to is how L'Rell, that crazy Klingon, female Klingon rapist from last season, is holding on to power that she got last year, right? She was able to unite all of Klingon in 5 minutes. And looks like she's about to lose all of Klingon in about 30. And so she wants to keep this power, consolidate this power, while trying to hold on to her boy Ash, who's also Voq, which I'm not gonna lie, I still don't exactly get the mechanics of that. It is what it is. So, like, I'm guessing this is all Ash now, but there's still a little bit of Voq in them. I don't know. If somebody wants to explain that to me a little bit better. I'm not exactly sure how that's working, but she still loves him, and there's a lot of Ash Taylor love going on, and there's a baby. There's a little Klingon baby, which is cute. That was cute to see. And let's had a decapitated Klingon baby at the end. And, that wasn't so cute to see, but okay. It is what it is. And so that's, the second plot. But again, it's not something that, do we need to know that? I guess. I guess they're pushing for something with these Klingons. I don't know if it's trying to get them to connect more to canon Klingons. I don't know what's going on, because you see that you got this half-breed baby now. Is he gonna... But that would retcon everything that happened in Star Trek Enterprise with how it is that the Klingons lost their ridges, to make it as if the half-breed, the Tyler Laurel baby is the cause for the Klingons looking at how they do. So I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to do with that. It was boring. Really boring. We'll get into more details on that soon in this little podcast. But I was talking to a friend of mine while I was watching, again, something I only do if I'm bored with a movie, is I go on Facebook and start commenting halfway through, and because it just didn't grab my attention. So I said, this episode, it's a snooze fest. And so there was some drama going on. I don't know if I was keeping up with it, because I just didn't care. And again, and the third little plot line that we were trying to get across here is that the spores from the sport drive are trippy. They're kind of a trippy sort of mushroom fungi. But again, we already knew that, didn't we? So it was an episode that had 3 points that it needed to make, and there were 3 points that we already knew. There was nothing special or that we didn't already know or expect. So it played out like a non-filler episode, but in the end, it kind of just was a filler episode. Maybe it was that extra episode that they had to make, or that because they didn't add an extra episode at the end. I don't know. Terrible for me. And it felt like, how everybody says, oh, here comes a Ferengi episode in the other Trek series. Man, I have this really bad feeling that for Star Trek Discovery, it's going to be, oh God, here comes a Klingon episode. Really bad. Although, there's a lot of people, well, not a lot, but a substantial amount of people that aren't fans of the Klingon episodes, either on Star Trek TNG. Especially, they're like, oh no, not a Klingon episode. So who knows? I happen to love Klingon episodes in the TNG and DS9, and I've been known to write on my Facebook that Klingons make me cry, and they really do. The episode where Worf's parents go to the Enterprise, oh man, that tears me up. Sorry, I get emotional with that stuff, So usually Klingon episodes do make me a little bit emotional. This one just bored the hell out of me. Again, like I said, watershed moment, watershed episode, first episode. I fell asleep while watching. Just was not good at all. But that said, okay, there were a few things that stood out that I kind of thought were nice, and others not so much. So first is here, look at that, guys. It's a battle cruiser. So they're talking about the ship that's going to take them to the next level. So that was kind of cool. But that brings up a few things, actually, with, who owns the rights? Is it CBS? Is it Paramount? Because, the tale is that a lot of the design was changed because they couldn't use the exact designs from before, because of copyright issues. But this looks like a very classic, like, battle cruiser, like, well, straight out of, Star Trek movies and etc. So who knows what's going on there. It was Well, we can't really call it an Easter egg because it was right in front of you. Uh, but there you go. That made me smile a little bit. Another thing that made me smile this old guy over here. I guess his name is Cole Shah. I was trying to look up his name and I couldn't really figure it out. But he looks more or less like he's about as close to looking like what a Klingon that we have been used to looks like. And even this guy next to him kind of doesn't look that, kind of maybe he's a descendant of General. Oh God, what's his name? From Star Trek, The Undiscovered Country. One of my favorite bad guys too, General not Khan. Look at this. I'm gonna have to look it up now. The Undiscovered Country. Now this is Star Trek Discovery, and we're going into Star Trek The Undiscovered Country, which is actually like my favorite Star Trek movie of all time. So I feel really bad that I have forgotten his name. Is it Kang, or you're all probably yelling at me? Yeah, Chang, General Chang. Maybe a descendant of General Chang. But Cole Shah over there, from the House of Kor, we know that house ends up being a very powerful house in the Klingon mythos. So perhaps that's why he's more or less looks the closest to what we would expect the Klingon to look like. Not exactly digging that that skin color, not exactly sure what that's about. They all look like they may have drowned or stayed underwater too long. Guys, you gotta give me a second here. My power's about to go out. I forgot to plug in my laptop. Give me a second. All right, I'm back. I hope you're still there. Got a little bit of dead air. And I'm plugging in my computer. Oh, shit. Oh, sorry. I said I wasn't going to curse, but I almost electrocuted myself. One second, if you will. Oh, okay. Anyway, we're back to. I got some coke from my little cousin staying over during the school break, and I got some Coca-Cola. So I rambled a little bit, guys. Sorry about that. Let's get back to some Trek. Anyway, yeah. So I like that. I liked his look, more or less. But in the end, he ended up being a waste of a character, because I guess he dies at the end, but also he's a spy, which I don't know if that's very Klingon of him. They have this weird fight at the end that we'll get to in a second that looks a little bit like something out of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. But then at the very end, when he's sending out his henchmen to fight with Tyler and L'Rell, he just, he doesn't join the fight, which is not, again, very Klingon of him. But then he uses this weird electric prod thing where he electrocutes the both of them, on each side. I was almost expecting something kind of like Darth Maul-ish to come out, like these lightsaber things. But it was an electric thing, and then he gets Tyler in this weird electric bubble. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what am I watching? Again, magic mushrooms, man. It's a weird freaking episode. Look, I'm trying not to curse, but it's kind of hard, guys. I'm from Jersey, so we got dirty mouths. So a lot of wacky stuff. I'm not sure I felt a Klingon vibe from it. Definitely felt a Star Wars vibe, extreme Star Wars vibe. Another thing that I thought was kind of cute I don't know if you can see it, but we got ourselves some Pepto-Bismol blood. If you look at that when during one of these fight scenes there, a lot of blood comes spilling out, and it's that Pepto-Bismol color. That was a nice shout out to Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country, which I think I read an article this week talking about how much that movie influenced Star Trek Discovery as far as the darker tone and trying to have some reconciliation between humans and Klingons and whatnot, and what creates so much animosity between the two. And oh yeah, let's get to this Last Jedi Trek fight. You can see Tyler there in the middle with a bunch of Klingons surrounding him. Obviously, I can't show full scenes or CBS will come shut down my channel. But it was almost exactly like that scene from The Last Jedi when they're with General Snoke and it's what's her name, Rey, and the Darth Vader ultimate fanboy, and they they have the fight. They fight together, and all the henchmen are going around them, and it was kind of weird to see that in a Star Trek show. Like, the choreography was very, very, very similar. So who knows? I didn't like that fight scene at all. It's very badly blocked. Well, probably Kylo Ren. That's his name, right? Kylo Ren. It was very badly blocked, which is a shame because last season they had that fight scene in the Mirror Universe, which is amazing. I mean, you got Michelle Yeoh, of course, which is other level as far as choreography and fighting and all that stuff. But this is very clunky. Aside from a lot of Pepto-Bismol blood, there was not much that was very suspenseful or interesting about this fight. And they killed all the Klingons only to get Darth Maul, electric lightsaber or whatever, to the heart. Weird. And this, a lot of people say, the critics of Star Trek Discovery are like, oh, this is not Trek, this is not Trek. No, this episode definitely didn't feel like Star Trek. This was like some other shit, as we say, right? Klingon subtitles, like what? This was just a weird scene. Oh, and there's my Lord of the Rings moment with her, with all that regalia, and yeah, this was an awkward scene, where she's trying to prove that she's gonna be the leader now of Klingon, but she kind of rattles off her creds of why it is that she is the one that's supposed to be the one in charge. And how does she do that? She shows that she's willing to kill Tyler, right? And that she's also willing to kill her baby that she had with Ash Tyler. So she doesn't want to be the High Chancellor or whatever they call these, the high-ranking Klingons. She instead says, I am your mother. She says, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be your mom. I'm going to be your mama. So, it was just an awkward scene. Again, why? Because this actress that plays this Klingon, I'm sure she's a nice lady, and maybe she's even a really good actress, but because of the heavy makeup and her voice just doesn't come out right. The Klingons, I kind of tolerated them last season, because it was kind of something new, kind of different, it's like kind of shocking. But if they're just gonna give us more of this with the Klingons, just like leave them be, like, I don't know, I got no desire to dig deep into Klingon lore with this episode unless it's somehow building up to some connection to the other Klingons that we're accustomed to, which would be cool, if they did that. I'm willing to deal with the Klingons we got, but I'm willing to deal with the Klingons we got if like it was kind of like that we had it last season. Okay, they're there, they're assholes, and then they're gone. And then maybe they show up again being assholes, and then the Federation kicks their butt again, and then they're gone. And I don't need the Lord of the Klingons version of Star Trek. So, and then we move on to the Mexican soap opera version part of the show. A lot of people were commenting about how her head got smaller. Her chin kind of got bigger too. I don't know if I like this look at all. It is what it is. She's not my favorite Klingon ever. Although last season, that episode where she had the rape scene and then she got captured, it was interesting. It was. I thought those were well played. But yeah, she can't talk through all that latex, man. That's my main issue with the new Klingons, more than the look, because okay, so they changed the look from, here comes Star Trek the motion picture, all of a sudden, whoa, what happened, and then even TNG Klingons look a little bit and act a little bit different than the original cast movies. So yeah, whatever. When you got something that's in progress, it improves. You want to make it better. Look at Worf's forehead. So it's not a big issue for me. I kind of like that they listen to the fans, and they kind of made the Klingons look a little bit slightly more like, okay, they could fit into the established canon Klingons that we've been watching for, from Enterprise to Voyager to Deep Space Nine and TNG and the movies. So I don't have a big issue with that. For me, the biggest issue with this look is just the inability for these actors to really express themselves. I mean, there's some scenes where they show like her full face. She's got these big eyes, which I even think the eyes look like prosthetics. Does she? I don't know if she really has eyes that big, but anyway, she's got these big prosthetic eyes, and it takes away all of the emotion from an expression from her face. It's just terrible. What they did with this makeup job. I hope they keep tweaking it. I will not mind. I'm not gonna be one of those people that's gonna complain at all. So yeah, so we have to deal with this Mexican love drama here between Tyler and L'Rell, because he feels he's not being respected as the torchbearer because he's human. But is he human? Is he not human? I don't get that. If anybody wants to break that down for me in the comments, feel free to do so. We got him with the little samurai hair, hipster look, and he just didn't sell it for me. Oh man, it's 3:15. He didn't sell it for me as far as being a warrior. I didn't mind him last season being kind of like a chump, when he first arrived on Discovery and was slowly kind of finding himself. But then the minute that he found himself and we realized, oh, he's a Klingon, it's like, this dude, he's a douchey kind of dude. But anyway, he's going to be there for a long run, apparently, because then we got a scene here with him and Michael where she compliments his hair, and she makes it very clear, in case nobody was reading any articles online, that the Klingons grew their hair because they're at peace. Okay, that's the story. Again, a really lifeless scene. And these two don't have a lot of chemistry, but I think that has more to do with Michael. She doesn't have a lot of chemistry with a lot of people, except for Saru. They kind of, I I like their back and forth. They're like brother and sister competing. And so that's that part of the episode. Those things that I kind of dug and those things I didn't dig, were kind of going into things I didn't dig right now. Uh, and one of those things is one of my favorite characters from last year, Tilly, man. She was so adorable last year. And I don't know, the writers kind of saw that, hey, people responded to it, but instead of just kind of maintaining, they doubled down. It's like, imagine if I tell you, hey, I like chocolate ice cream, but then you give me a bucket of it. Maybe that's a bad analogy. Maybe some people can eat a bucket of chocolate ice cream. I can't. I think I would get sick, or maybe here's some chocolate ice cream with a bucket of chocolate ice cream with a whole bottle of Hershey's chocolate syrup plus some Jimmy's. Yes, we call them Jimmy's, chocolate Jimmy's on top. And I'd be like, oh man, I can't eat this whole bucket. I mean, I'll take a ice cream cone. Give me a Mr. Softy, like on that vibe, or even a Ben and Jerry's on that vibe. But I can't, you're overloading. Feels like the writers are doing this, just overloading. I didn't like Tilly's character the last couple of weeks. I think she's playing too cutesy, too, oh my god, should I really be here? Reminds me a little bit of Barkley. But Barkley was just, uh, well, no, he was kind of the same, and I wasn't a big fan of his either. So, before all you start shouting sexism, sexism, for Barkley. It was cool when Barkley was a socially awkward asshole, um, with genius inside. But no, I wasn't. I never got. I kind of liked him in Voyager. At the very, very end of Voyager, he shows up. Spoilers for Voyager. Um, but in Star Trek: The Next Generation, he was really one of my least favorite characters, and I always just questioned, like, how did this guy make it on board? I got what they were trying to do with that character, which is show that, hey, we have all levels of people on this starship, and we do our best to help each other get through the tough times. So Tilly is kind of being that character right now, or no, she's not as annoying as Wesley. Wesley is Wesley, um, because she's cute. And when I say cute, guys, I'm not talking like physically cute. Although she is a very attractive young woman, I'm saying cute just in personality wise. It's a cute personality. She's always smiling and giggling and this and that and the third. Um, I sort of liked in this episode that she got freaked out, but it's like, why don't you just tell people what's going on? Like, why wouldn't you just say, hey, I'm seeing an apparition of some dead girl. Like, this is freaking me out. I need to go to the doctor. Okay? And this dead girl's, no, she's more annoying than Tilly. Uh, Again, just trying to be extra cute. It doesn't fit. It feels out of place. Um, but then we find out that, well, again, nothing that we didn't already know, because we saw the little piece of spore fall on Tilly's shoulders last year, or shoulder, that this is a manifestation of the mushrooms, the fungi. um, so this girl is just a wacky spore, man. She's like a hallucinogenic spore. And Stamets is able to suck her out of Tilly, as we can see here in this scene, and she turns into a blob. So this is like the thing all of a sudden. And I don't know if you can tell, but that's Saru over there shooting at it and kind of holding it in his shield. And then from what I saw in the previews, it must get out, but at least it's out of Tilly. But I don't know. I mean, I guess this is building up to something because at some point they have to address the elephant in the room, which everybody already talks about all the time is, hey, why is there no mention of this freaking spore drive anywhere in Star Trek in the future? Now, I don't believe that these writers, because again, I enjoy the show. I think it's well made and well written 90% of the time. I don't think people that talented and who are fans, they may not be mega fans, but they're fans of Star Trek or at least watch some of it. Uh, I don't think that they would be like, I trust the writers. I don't think that they would put something that insane in a prequel show without having an end game to it. So that's just absolute faith in, like, no, well, you can't say no, but a writer good enough to get to the point where he's able to write and produce a television series which has some critical acclaim, and he's dealing with one of the greatest, biggest television series of all times, franchise-wise, to not know what the hell is the end game for the spore drive and why it is that it's not ever talked about is too much. It's for me to believe. So I guess we're getting there. Some theories is that when you use that spore drive, you're screwing up the whatever, space-time continuum. So we got to shelve that shit. Like, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. So who knows? It's just that they're doing a bad job at foreshadowing this, because they're making it, especially this year, using the spore drive to get to one of those Red Angels, although it was a great episode, New Eden, last week. It diminishes a little bit of the danger of whatever, this spore drive. And then finally, one thing that we should note is that Michelle Yeoh is in this episode as Georgiou from the Mirror Universe. She's now working with Section 31. And this is, again, not a big mystery. We all knew this was happening already. Good to see her. Sometimes it's hard to understand her when she talks, but for the most part, I love this woman and her acting and her character. But some of the lines, it felt similar to Tilly. It was like, oh, we got a really good reaction with Georgiou, Empress Georgiou, in her evil ways, her Cruella de Vil-ish ways, that let's take it, let's just lay it on heavier. The freaks are the best, or whatever. She had all these real cheesy lines to show that I'm bad and I'm freaky and I'm like, come on, it gets to be cartoonish and two-dimensional, and that's not cool. That's the problem I had with Negan on The Walking Dead. For the last 2 seasons, Angela Kang has taken over and the show has improved. Look at that. Am I making a quick aside on The Walking Dead just out of the top of my head? Although I do have some notes in front of me. Or could it be that it was all planned out so I could tell you that if you do like The Walking Dead, I do a few lives talking about The Walking Dead. You can look that up on my channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Press that little bell thingy there so you know when my next videos come out. But yeah, there's not much to say about Georgiou. Okay, she's in Section 31. We already know there's going to be a show based around this. So this episode failed mostly because it just told us stuff we already knew, right? So that's it, guys. Star Trek Discovery Season 2. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. But you tell me down there in the comments what you thought of this episode. If you're, it would be really bizarre if all the people that have been hating on this show since episode 1 all of a sudden said, this is the greatest episode ever of Star Trek Discovery. Like, oh my god. Although this mostly happened last week with New Eden, it was incredible how many people loved that episode. But that would be bizarre, because uh, I've been really championing this series for a long time, and then this crap came along. But I still, enjoy the show, and just, I'm just gonna decide to believe that it was just a bad episode. I mean, what series doesn't have a bad episode? Even The Sopranos had a so-so episode here and there, right? So there's no perfect television series, and definitely no perfect Star Trek television series. If you're a Trekkie, you know that, it takes a long time for these shows, for those old shows to get going. But guys, I've probably exceeded my usual 20 minutes. So this is a new thing here that I'm trying. Hopefully the sound came out. And I will talk to you next week. And hopefully we'll have a really good episode because I really like the previews. A lot of times these previews don't tell me much or don't excite me much, but I like the preview. And we're gonna get some more of Janet Marino, as I like to call her, but her name is what? It's Jan Marino. But anyway, really like that character, so I'm glad she's back. And there's a few theories around her too that maybe she's not who she appears to be. We shall see. But more Pike, hopefully next episode too, because Pike is awesome, and it is what it is, guys. Have a good day or evening or afternoon, wherever you may be listening. Goodbye.